Well, hello, hello, my silky friends. Let me get Prof right up here. Uh, Let me change up. Hey, how come? Okay, there we go. There we go. Can you hear me, Prof?
Loud and clear.
Okay, good. Because I am running two. Let me see if I can fix this. I am running two programs at one time. I'm running OBS and let's see. Let me get rid of that. I'm running OBS and EVMux. So we'll see. We'll see how this goes. So how you doing?
Oh, pretty good. I'm exhausted.
I'm sorry. I know y'all. Shout out to the prof because I literally text you about an hour ago. I said, "Hey, you want to go live? I'm thinking about going live tonight." And he's like, "Wait, I gotta have
I'm
some coffee."
as long as I have coffee, I can do it.
So yeah, I'm like, yeah, he's a trooper. He is a trooper. I just, y'all have been asking when we're going to do a show together again. So I'm like, hey, it's Saturday night and I'm living the dream over here, uh, covering Delphi. So yeah, it's a nightmare.
The
Um,
dumpster fire. Yeah.
yeah, let me try to get our screens a little bit equal here. So tell me while I'm fiddling with this, and before I say hello to everybody, first of all, thank y'all for being here. Tell me what are your thoughts of this week?
Oh, this week? Oof.
Yeah, like kind of uh how do you think we're going? I'm trying to make your square bigger. I'm trying to make us equal over here, but I've got mine set different. Um yeah, what do you think? What has been the most surprising? Let's just not even take this week. Let's say the whole trial. What has been
Overall.
the most yeah, what has been the most surprising thing for you?
Well, I've been telling some of my friends how everything's going, it's more accelerated than I thought. Things are moving faster than I thought they would.
Yeah.
And so I think that's a good thing. I really do. And there's a lot of thoughts. Maybe it's too general of a question because I don't know. I think the prosecution did far more poorly with presenting any sort of convincing evidence than I assumed that they would.
Me too.
And then I don't know, today was pretty shocking to me. And I got to say, all of the witnesses have really surprised me with anomalies they presented and contradictions and all of that. So I'm pretty glad. I mean, I'm pretty good with where it is what I mean.
Yeah. I was expecting more out of the prosecution as well.
Hmm.
Let me say hello. Prof, if you we didn't get on early enough for me to show you how to stream to your channel, but I mean, put out a community post. Let people come over and I don't
Oh
know.
yeah,
I
I
wish
sent out a community post, so we should be good.
Okay. Okay. Well, I really wish this would stream on yours too. We have to get it set up together.
One day
Um
we'll get our stuff together.
yeah, one day.
Oh, shoot.
Hello Pam Frenchman. Yeah, twice in one day. I can't even fathom that I'm doing this. Um digital. Hello. Annette. Good to see you. Daniel Berry Sports. Whoop whoop. Good to see you. Shay Watson, good to see you. I got some of the same crew I had this morning, which is great. We had a great conversation. Um, and I will just say this to my mods who are in here. I'm fine with people having differing opinions. You know that.
Mhm.
Don't be afraid to put somebody in timeout or ban them or whatever. I don't, if they're being rude. Okay. Nancy Drew, hello. Yeah, we always have good conversations, Nancy. We do. Jenny, good to see you. Carol, hello, hello. And Digital says they didn't even know what their bombshell evidence was going to be until after they started the
That's what I'm
case.
laughing at. Yeah, good one, digital.
Yeah,
Exactly.
absolutely.
Exactly.
Um, yeah, all the bombshells we heard about, in my opinion, none of that came to fruition. I wasn't shocked. I tell you what, I was shocked at though, Prof, and that was the fact that there was a trail cam and somebody caught on that trail cam. What do you
Mm.
think about that?
I got a whole lot of thoughts about trail cams. But that one, that's also interesting because how do you explain them missing the bodies when you had someone around that area and it
Mm-hmm.
was lit up? Because we have, you see, what I'm doing is looking at, when you cross reference all these various witness statements, like we know the area was lit up with lots of flashlights.
Right.
Now we know we had people right there at the crime scene. How do you explain it? Now we know the clothes weren't seen in the creek when the creek was lit up with a whole bunch of lights. So it's just everything keeps mounting. You know, the anomalies
Yeah.
keep mounting.
And I would say that the narrative is unraveling before our very
Oh,
eyes.
it's the unraveling.
It
Yes,
is the unraveling. It
good
is.
choice, girls.
Um,
Hmm.
yeah, it is very definitely. Yeah, everything is just coming apart. And yeah, that was one of the things. The clothes not being in the creek.
Hmm.
Witnesses saying that it wasn't there. Okay. Well, we know it was staged, but you have to say, and I don't know who staged it and why. I have theories, but that's all they are. Um, but you do have to say that if that is true, according to the witnesses, those girls weren't out there. Either trail cam man saw them and didn't say anything, or people saw clothes, didn't say anything, and I don't think that either of those things are true.
Or we're also missing. It just occurred to me that I think we're also missing one thing in our speculations too, which is what if those girls were out there and everyone is lying? Absolutely everyone in the searching contingent.
Wow.
Because that's another possibility, you know?
It is, but that's a lot of lying liars.
That it is. But if those girls were there, you could have 15 liars about it.
You could. Um, I would say this: if that is true, then they are all there is something else that they are all desperate to cover that was more important than Abby and Libby, which to me is horrific and sad and brutal.
Hmm.
But yeah, that's the only conclusion you can come to. If it's a conspiracy to cover up by all of the witnesses who were there, the searchers, then yeah, there's a real problem in Delphi. Even bigger, I think, than I've thought about.
I've
Uh,
been seeing a lot of that lately in my comment section and the chats and stuff is the whole concept that something bigger than Abby and Libby is being covered up.
Man, that is wow. If that's true, that's very disheartening. I feel like at the end, and I just have to say this: digital Mullen dumber than I thought. Thought cloud is empty. Yeah, so some of those, some of the stuff he said, even on the stand, I'm like, oh my god, come on, come on. I've got some of that pulled up from X too. Uh, eh, you know, I don't know what could be bigger than Abby and Libby, but it is very concerning to me if that is the
Mhm.
truth. Um, Man, that's something else. But I feel like Prof at the end of this trial, and I would say this even no matter what the verdict is, because we're still going to be on the sides that we're going to be on at the end of this trial, and either it'll go one way or another. But I feel like, and this is what I didn't want to happen, we're going to take a look at it. The dust clears, and we're back at square one. Who killed Abby and Libby? Who did it? And if these girls do not get justice, I don't know. I guess I'll be talking about Delphi until, it's my time because
Hmm.
I can't stop. I can't stop with this. I have no idea why it means so much to me. Of all the cases I've seen and studied, this one is the one. It is my case that I can't leave alone. Even though I take breaks from it, y'all know, and I'm like, I'm done with Delphi. It's crazy. I'm getting out of the cesspool. Then a few months later, here I come, and I'm like, I can't. Um, it's just I never want to get. And I heard somebody said in a chat a few weeks ago, I'm never getting this deep in any other case. I'm not going to get this involved. Um, well, you don't have to because apparently Delphi isn't done. So, uh, Banter Lion. Alan was on meds before entering jail or prison. Yes, that is what I've heard, but I've heard that he was on an antidepressant of Prozac.
So does that
Seroquel
make
is
you
up
a
in the
murderer?
air.
Because how many million people are on Prozac?
Lights.
Yeah.
Most people are on. I just had this discussion with the nurse practitioner where I work now, and she said, I don't know anybody, any professional person, that is not on an antidepressant. I said, hey, I'm not. She's like, you are literally the only person I know. And I'm like, yeah, I know that. I know that. Maybe I should be. There are times I think I should be, but no, I'm not depressed. But it is so very common if you just look across all of society. Most people are on some kind of anti-anxiety or antidepressant. So no, that doesn't mean squat. Seroquel is a different story, but we're not sure, at least from what I heard, whether he was on Seroquel prior to. Now, it's not going to make you a murderer, Seroquel, but if you are, it can have bad side effects. But I was taking it based on what I heard that he got that in DOC, but I can't swear to that. Um, let's see. What are y'all saying? Oh yeah,
Haldol
we already got.
injections, involuntary Haldol injections. That's my answer to you. I'm going to be nice to your guests, but
Yes. I know. I'm just waiting. Like I'll tolerate different opinions. That's fine. When you get rude, that's then you go, "Hey, Four Pits, how are ya? I'm glad to see ya. Good to see you're doing well." Um, again, you're always welcome. If you want to come on panel, just let me know. Uh, but yeah, the involuntary Haldol injections. I would, yeah, that's a good idea, Prof. It'd be nice to do that to some of the chat sometimes, some of the trolls that come in. Um,
what to involuntarily inject them?
yes, like kapow right through the screen, right through. Let me type involuntary injection. No, it's terrible. What was terrible though today, and we talked a little bit about it on the phone a few minutes ago, but this whole what the jury saw today, and let me pull up some stuff from. Hold on, let me add you to this. Uh,
Whoops.
oh, that's okay. It's just that when I came on the other day, I realized I was using the same settings that I did last time you were on, and I'm like, Prof's not here. Sorry, y'all. Um, yeah. Listen to this. This is from Luke Nicholas. I've been following him. He has a lot of interesting things to say, retweets, and just his own opinions. This morning's session per press pool notes. Actually, really horrifying reading to the juror reactions. Yeah, this is a little bit lengthy. Richard Allen enters court at 8:46 a.m. Seen mouthing words to family. Wife Kathy not present. I understood that she didn't want to be. Maybe he didn't want her to be there. I wouldn't think he would. Indiana State Police Superintendent Doug Carter present in uniform. Debate over Westville Correctional Facility videos over Allen. Of course, uh, Rosie is saying request jury only viewing due to the explicit content. Now, I do have a thing to say about this though, because, and a lot of they let everyone see the crime scene photos. The prosecution did, which, he could have passed around the photos to jury only,
Hmm.
but everyone was able to see the girls in that situation. But strangely enough, the defense feels like they want to preserve some dignity. I think that says a lot about the kind of characters we're dealing with. Hold on me. I can't stop messing with stuff tonight, Prof. Okay. Um, but that's just my opinion. But I agree with all of you that said, what about the girl's dignity? I agree. Of course, Slickneck objects to the video's admission. Strange. I was actually pretty shocked. Let's see. Defense witness Max Baker. He recalled compiling the videos. But here's where I want to go. The video evidence presented. Two exhibits of camcorder videos. Now, see, this is weird to me, Prof. These camcorder videos, I do not understand this. And a master sheet including a contains nudity category. Videos admitted despite prosecution objection. Prosecution had to reposition themselves to view the screen. Rick Allen could not see the videos, for which I am very glad. Here's the thing. I don't understand the camcorder videos because the prison should have cameras everywhere. The jail that I worked in, we had cameras in pretty much every square inch except inside of medical because that is a HIPAA violation. So that was the only place people couldn't be seen. So I don't understand why you carrying around a camcorder. The prison should have cameras to face every direction. So what was that about? Um,
Maybe like everything else, it's antiquated at Westville because I know that I saw some photos from in Westville, and boy, it's like a dungeon. It's worse than you would imagine. It's very antiquated.
yeah, but still, cameras are not expensive. They
No,
can be, but
a lot easier to store digital video recordings rather than videotapes.
yeah, yeah. I'm like, and here's my question to that: do you do this with all of the inmates who are maybe in a turtle suit or whatever? Is that all of them, or is that just Richard Allen? These are questions I haven't heard, and maybe somebody has addressed that, but I haven't heard it yet. Um, okay, content of the videos, April 2023. 10 videos shown, one including one, number 7, nearly 30 minutes long, sped up by Rosie. Content not visible to public. Described by defense as depicting Allen's deterioration in prison.
Hmm.
Some of them are he is fully naked. And if you were in my chat this morning, I told you for psychosis that is pretty normal. They take their clothes off. Why? I don't know, but they just about all of them when they get psychotic and they're playing in toilets and stuff like that. They're also naked for whatever reason. Um, Varied reactions observed included this this jurors looked aghast, tense, concerned, shocked, disgusted. Now this is from video number 7. Raised eyebrows, note taking, lip biting, frowning, sighing. One juror showed a note to another. The psychologist juror appeared extremely interested. Alternate juror with a sour look. School counselor looked shocked. I can see that. Multiple jurors looking towards Allen during some videos. My thought
Ooh.
on that is that they're comparing, you know?
And sympathizing, I would think. Both, yeah.
Yeah,
Ooh, that was a humanizing moment. Wow. That's mm.
yeah. That's what I thought too, because you're looking in comparison. This guy that I've been looking at in court for 2 weeks is the same one on this film. Oh, oh. Um, Other notable reactions. Richard Allen looked down at a coffee mug at one point. I don't know. I really don't understand why that's notable. Um, Libby German's family appeared exasperated. Prosecutor McClellan appeared exhausted and at one point taken aback. Defense attorney Jennifer Auger displayed deep concern, including head in hand, mouth covering, and looking away at different points. Richard Allen's mother left the courtroom during video 9. Um, and there's some more. Let's see. There's some more details on some of that. Okay. And talking about Becky Patty, it says speculation from the media pool suggests her distress may be linked to the court's release of graphic crime scene and autopsy photos of the victims, while RA's was withheld. Yeah, I would be upset. I would be upset about that too. All right, then we get to Doug Carter's testimony. ISP Superintendent Doug Carter testified briefly, stating that dozens of agencies, including the FBI, Department of Homeland Security, U.S. Marshal Service, and ATF, assisted in the investigation. He revealed that the FBI's involvement ceased in 2021, a sidebar with Judge Gold and counsel. Carter clarified he made the decision for the FBI to withdraw and transfer all case materials in August of 2021.
Mm.
So it was Doug Carter that's saying he made that decision.
I'm not happy about that. That really that
Mm-hmm.
oh, that causes me to lose some confidence in Mr. Carter.
Look,
Mm,
Prof,
mm.
I mean, I have been so back and forth, and I think it was EOA like a week ago or something that was in chat and said, don't lose faith in Carter, because I'm have been very harsh at times on Carter, and so I respect EOA so much, and I'm like, okay, let me take a step back, and I don't know everything, but
Neither
yeah,
do I. Mm.
yeah, this is why these kind of things are why uh, I have no faith. All right. Detective, this is from Magnolia. Shout out to Magnolia. Detective Greg Ferenczi was unalived in July 2021. He was part of the FBI task force. And, we're going on and on about Brad Holder and crew. That's why their investigation into
Uh-oh.
Meehan, a former corrections officer at Terre Haute, was supposed to go on trial earlier this year, but pleaded insanity back in March. The prosecution doesn't want the defense bringing any of this up.
Of course not. Of course not. No, not
Yeah,
to hit on Ferenczi.
no. So let me see. I've got a Let me see if I can get this one up there. There we go. So we can go right back to This is
Thank you,
this
Magnolia.
is yes. Thank you very much. All right. Fatally unalived in an ambush. Um, and where he was, of course, if y'all didn't know, and most of y'all in this chat, you know more than I do about this probably. But yeah, if you didn't know, he was unalived outside of the FBI, outside of the building housing the FBI resident agency. And he and Todd Click and oh my gosh, there's four of them. Why can't I remember? I'm tired. That's why. 4 people, absolutely. So yeah. Um. Now this guy was charged, Meehan, and so they're saying that back earlier this year or whatever, he was pleading insanity. Hmm.
Nope.
Yeah.
Bull, you know what?
Yeah. Yeah. So there you go. There's Meehan. Um. And we'll go back to X. So I thought that was very interesting. Um. Let's see.
Got a little bit of an Odinist look to him, doesn't he?
Yeah, he does. As a
Yeah.
matter of fact, he certainly does. Um, yeah, why did he ask the FBI to withdraw? I don't know. I have not heard any kind of good. Hold on, let me go back to the stuff that I
Nice
actually did.
shirt.
Let me go back to the comments because I am so far behind. Um, yeah, when people don't when people don't know anything about the case, then come in chat spewing BS. Exactly, exactly. Um, and this is something that Prof and I were talking about. I'll take a break for just a second. When we were on the phone, is I have seen so many people on social media, even these horrific Facebook groups that I've lurked in for a long time, saying, "Hey, you know what? I apologize to Kathy Allen and to Richard. This is horrific. I had no idea." And I've seen it on X, I've seen it on Facebook, I've seen it in Reddit. And people coming out of the woodwork literally saying, "Oh my God, I was wrong." What about
Mhm.
you, Prof?
Yeah, yeah. I had a couple even coming onto my channel into the comments or chat and saying, "Prof, I'm sorry for the way that I was and all the things that I said." Blah blah blah. My mind has definitely been changed. I see the light now. So I've even had it personally come my way. So people are saying, I mean, it's just undeniable the things that are being revealed or that people are seeing. You know?
Yeah. I mean, and look, I know I have to give some people a pass because if you don't do a deep dive into this and you're just listening to the narrative, and then last year you heard, "Oh, well, he confessed." Like, look, people who don't really study this case and believe what the media tells them or believes that the police are telling the truth, um, it is what it is. I think of all cases, which I've always kind of been this way, but definitely after Delphi, I am never, ever going to believe what somebody says in the media. Uh,
And you
and
know, oh, go ahead.
no, I was going to say, or even at times law enforcement.
And you know what did it for me is I've even learned. I've had the fortune of talking with a handful of locals, of Delphi locals or Carroll County locals, for the past 2 years, and the amazing thing is that so much of what they've told me over the past 2 years has been revealed as being spot on, and that leads me to believe that the rest of what they told me has been probably accurate. And now I've learned this lesson, in if I'm ever involved in any future endeavors of this sort, um, if you get some good trustworthy locals,
Mm-hmm.
listen to them because they're going
Yes.
to know a hell of a lot more than anything you read on the internet. Yeah.
Yeah. Hello, it's a new day. Um, yeah, that, see, early on, before I fell into the cesspool that is Delphi, that was my plan. Probably the end of it is wintertime, and I have no desire to travel in snow. So after probably about December, November, it was probably sometime in November, definitely by December, I was like, this isn't adding up. That was my whole thought, Prof. I thought I'm just gonna go. I was a tiny creator. I only had a couple of hundred subs, and I was like, nobody knows who I am. I'm gonna go up to Delphi, and I'm just gonna do what. If you are a smart investigator, You will go to the little mom and pop coffee shops, not a name brand restaurant. You will go into little antique stores, whatever. You just be a normal person. You just start talking to people. And then you find out. So that was my plan. I'm going to go to Delphi. And then, I thought I'm going to go when the weather breaks. By then, it was, I could see I was already in the cesspool. And by spring, it was like, oh no, it is way, way, way too dangerous for me to go to Delphi because people are already coming at me. So, um, but yeah, that is the best way. You're absolutely 100% right. Uh, let's see. I mean, yeah. Well, that's a thought. Yeah, that they used a camcorder. It's a new day that could easily be shared. Yeah, it could. Um, sorry, I can't see some of your comments because this. The cat is walking right in front of the screen. All right. Hello, Jamie. But yeah, I I think it's great that you've had those conversations. I will. I keep saying I'll go to Delphi. I won't tell anybody, but it's gonna be after the trial and after all of the dust settles. That's when it's gonna be. Um, yes, she 2000. No matter what, Alan has a strong case of appeal, and
Hmm.
this is my prediction. Okay, if it goes to an appellate court, I'm gonna say they if he's found guilty, they're gonna reverse it.
Hmm.
He's going to win on appeal. If he doesn't win the first time, no doubt in my mind he will win. They'll probably toss it out and say there's so many violations, Miranda rights violations, Frank's motion violations. Like, they might as well have taken that $4 million and just smoked it because it's not in the long run. It's not going to hold up. What do you think, Prof?
No, I agree because the couple attorneys, the Indiana lawyers I talked to who do this thing every day, they say the same that he's got an extremely strong case for appeal, if not for whatever the thing. What's the other thing that there's some constitutional violations as well, so there's that too. But yeah, it's looking bad. It's really bad things happened, and I don't mean to laugh, but you got to laugh through the pain. Really bad things have happened. You know. Oh, maybe Silky froze up. See if she comes back. She's spinning. Let's see. I'll do one. I'll do
Oh, I
digital.
can't see
Wish
or
they
hear.
would have asked Carter under oath what he thinks about Holman. Hmm, that's an interesting.
Sorry, I don't know what happened there for just a second. I'm trying to catch up with you, Prof. Uh, I
Looks like her computer's freezing up. Silky, maybe it's your running the two apps at once or something.
uh
Whoops. Okay. Digital says, yeah. I wonder if Carter will be back though. He may be back. Recalled. Let's see.
okay, can y'all hear me?
Yep.
I have no idea. I don't I've run these two apps before on another channel. I don't know. This is weird. It EVMux doesn't usually ever do this. All right. What it did is it threw all my chat. It's like it slung it everywhere. So, I've missed a lot. What were you saying about Doug Carter? I could hear you just a little bit.
Where was it? No, no. Digital said, see, he says, Digital says, wish they would have asked Carter under oath what he thinks about Holman. Yeah. And I
Well,
was saying, well, he may be called back. He may be recalled so that that opportunity may come.
well, what's he gonna say though? He appointed him to a
I
high
know.
position, so like, what's he gonna do? He's gonna look stupid if he doesn't back him. But yeah. Okay, I'm trying to go back. Let me go back to X because I've lost y'all in the chat. So I'm just gonna start over. If I haven't said hello to somebody, I see Rebecca Ann. Sorry about that. Maybe it'll fix itself. Um, let's see. Uh, there was another. I'm trying to look for it. There was another post that went into um, even more detail. Oh, I like this one. According to, and I agree with Magnolia. Brad Weber is the de facto third party culprit, thanks to the prosecution's presentation of their case. Defense will continue to pull apart his story and his timeline. Yeah. I love this though. And I was kind of surprised this showed up in the Indy Star. But when they were talking yesterday, uh, Alan was talking about the white van, and McClellan asked Mullen whether he coached Weber on what to say when he interviewed him, and Weber's like, "Oh." Uh, Mullen said, "I did not tell him what to say, and he didn't tell Weber ahead of time what the purpose of the conversation would be." Weber had reviewed his text messages to determine that he left work in the white van at 2:02 and got home around 2:30. Okay, but the thing of it is, and this is the best, that's certainly interesting that Weber would review those text messages without knowing why he was coming in, Baldwin said. Would you agree? Mullins says, "That is interesting, and I have no explanation for that." I'm like, come on, come on. What did you think about that, Prof?
I thought that was badass too. I showed it on my show last night because I thought, wow, yeah. I mean, she's right here. Magnolia says, where she says that they've continued to present the defense's case for them. I mean, not only was it a weak prosecution, but it was so terrible that almost every witness, except pretty much one, handed the. I mean, they presented defense arguments, and it's like or reasonable doubt, and it's like, well, geez, man, could it be any more badly done?
Yeah, and the thing of it is I can't remember what day of the week it was that I did a live this week. It's a blur. But that's exactly, Prof, how I started this out. I started out by saying, "Y'all, hear me out. The prosecution is doing a fantastic job. Y'all, they are top notch.
Um,
Fantastic job. Too bad it's for the defense." 'Cause I'm like, can it get any better for the defense?
no,
Um,
it really couldn't. I mean, what I'd like to say is that I am really shocked by how weak of a case they have against Richard Allen. I think that I expected more, and I'm astonished that they actually brought it to trial. But I was talking with a buddy yesterday. I said I'm even astonished that they arrested him and charged him. Much less brought it to trial because it's
yeah.
entirely weak. And I'm not just saying that out of some sort of prejudice or wishful thinking. It's extremely weak. And then they've done a terrible job with the witnesses that they've presented because everyone's presented these conundrums and conflicts and contradictions. And the only one that I saw who didn't do that, well, there were two that Sarah Carbo, she came on very well, obviously coached, and she
Yeah.
presented this bad attitude, which that was its own impression. And
Right.
then Brian Harshman came and he did this whole thing that was sort of, I mean, probably the least bad of all of them when relaying the confessions, but then he ruined it at the last minute by saying that guy right there, Richard Allen, he's the one that sounds like down the hill, which they should have. Like I'm surprised the judge let that one fly. Like I think in any other courtroom
Yeah.
that why does his opinion of what the voice? He's not a voice expert. He's not a forensic whatever you call voice
Right.
expert. But yeah, I think in both from both directions has been very bad. So then what you're saying is right that it benefits the defense.
Yeah. And it's like that whole, I wish, and this is why they didn't want it televised. There's so many reasons Gold didn't want this televised.
Oh yeah.
But that whole video, that whole down the hill, like you couldn't, my understanding from the people who reported on that is that you really couldn't hear that. It was enhanced. And for my subscribers, I likened it to, these shows on TV where they're using a ghost box
Hmm.
and they're here or EVPs or whatever, and they're like, you play it back and listen to this, and I can't hear anything. Like I can hear something, but I can't make it out at all. And then they put the words on the screen. The ghost said blah blah blah. Well, when they put that on there, and you have that in your mind, then you hear it,
Hmm.
and so it's like, oh, okay, I hear that now. Yeah, that's what the ghost said. Whatever. And I mean, it's not the bridge guy video, the Abby picture, everything, Prof, that we've had a problem with, and other people have had a problem with for so long, has now come up in court. It's a big nothing. So my understanding is you cannot determine guys down the hill. It could have been something else. That's the way they said it, but there was no distress. And that bothered me too, because for years I've heard people who supposedly heard that 43-second video say, oh, it's terrible. You can hear there's more on it, and it's very distressing to the families, and you can hear all this trauma. It's a lie. It's
It was
all
all a
been a
lie.
lie.
The lie that it was 2 minutes long and the entire crime was recorded on the there. I know all of that came from one person. Honestly, that's what we
Really.
found out about. Yeah, that all those rumors. But what I think is that like for all these years we've had a problem with all that stuff, and we've all looked like crazy people because we've said
Yeah.
it's photoshopped, it's faked, there's something
Yeah.
wrong with Bridge Guy, blah blah blah, blah 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 blah. And everyone thought you're crazy, you're going to look stupid when it comes out in court. Well, what has happened now? What has happened now is we look like we knew what was going on the entire time. We entirely predicted the entire scenario. It's all fake. It's all make believe. The Abby on the bridge is not on the victim's phone. Uh,
Right.
the timestamp was photoshopped onto it. The bridge guy is a phantom that didn't even exist. Uh, and no, Libby was not brave capturing her killer moments before they got abducted. It was just some smear as the camera's moving. Uh, the voices, we don't even know the quality of the voices because imagine that what we've heard is the enhanced AI assisted
Yes.
audio production. So we don't even know if Guys Down the Hill, what did that sound like before that? And
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I
And
don't know. It makes us look like that gut instinct that we had looking at it, and the experts we spoke to who said that it wasn't legit. All of that
mm-hmm.
has panned out, and that's why I'm sitting back and I'm feeling it's sort of a gratifying feeling
Yes.
to know that we weren't that off with those feelings.
Right. And I mean, I hate that it's taken this, we're at trial at this, but yeah, in a weird way, I feel very vindicated because, yes, I've been called everything crazy. Even, people that tried to support me or, were friends of mine are like, when I would start talking Delphi with people, you know, people who weren't really studying the case, and I'd be like, yeah, you know, but they're like, but they've got the video of him, and they've got, and it looks just like Richard Allen, and they've got his voice and all that, and I'd be saying it's fake, it's not real, that is not the actual stuff, and they just look at me like I've got three heads talking at once, and you know, you get that look from people like, okay, she's a lunatic. And I, at least, yeah, I feel somewhat vindicated about that. Um,
Mhm.
and that's good. It doesn't help Abby and Libby, you know. So,
No, our feelings about being right, but not. But for me, it opens the door to questions. Where did
yes,
it come from? Say where did the Abbey on the Bridge come from? Where
exactly.
and why was it promoted? And who spread it? Who
Mm-hmm.
created it? What was the motive?
Exactly.
Those are the things that are going to work in favor of Abby and Libby, I think.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, you're absolutely right about that. And that is the one burning question that I have in my mind is Abby on the Bridge, which I've had a problem with since day one. Um, where did that picture come from? Why was it wasn't on Libby's phone, so how did that, yeah, exactly what you said. I think of all the things that have disturbed me about Delphi the most in this trial is the fact that we absolutely know that to be untrue, but no explanation so far, unless the defense is going to bring it up. Why that photo? Because I think, Prof, if you can figure out why that photo and when and the timestamp and all that, then you're going to be pointed right at the perpetrators or the people covering up. Because there was no, I mean, think about it. You could have just, you didn't have to make all this stuff up. You know, the family could have just said, or Ellie could have just said, hey, these girls went up to the bridge. They disappeared at around, this is our last contact with them. They didn't show up at 3:15 and they were found the next day. You didn't have to go through all of these fake photos and videos and all this kind of stuff. So why do it? I mean, there's tons of cases where there is no audio or video. What was the point? And I think that's going to point us to who and why. That's just my opinion, but I think that's a big one. Um,
Hmm.
okay, Digital says, well, when Weber needs an alibi, he's not home till 3:30. When they need a white van to scare someone, he's there at 2:30.
Hmm.
Yeah, I believe the defense is going to pull this apart because you don't ask a question on the stand that you don't know the answer to. That's not how
Exactly.
it's done.
Hmm.
So if the defense is bringing this up and saying maybe didn't you go to, you know, work on an ATM machine or did you make some stops? Look, they're not asking that for information. They're asking that because they've got a rebuttal to that. So keep that in mind. Um, this ain't their first rodeo. Uh, let's see. Jamie says, I'm frustrated about the stupid van info. In his interrogation, R.A. said there was a van parked in the lot when he arrived. In his delusion, he could have been ranting about that van. Yeah, he could have. Um, that van could have come from anywhere at any time. Uh, yeah, that is a good question. Monday, what does Weber's voice sound like? I don't know. Have you ever heard an interview with him?
No, no.
I haven't either. Um, I and even I would say this, even if he is a dead ringer for the down the hill guy, I still, in good conscience, I couldn't say that's him because it's been amplified,
Yeah, it doesn't matter at
interpolated.
this point. Like I was saying yesterday that it's time to make all that go away in our minds. All of that has
Yeah,
to go away. None of that is evidence. That was all distraction. just
Yeah.
like all the myriad of stories, all the stories. I did da 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 da. This happened, that happened, this happened, that happened. All got to go. It's all got to go. Kind of
Yeah.
square one.
Exactly. I think,
But
unfortunately,
mhm.
um,
See the questions here. Oh, I'll let you go. Go ahead. I see you
mm-mm.
put something up about
No, go ahead.
the defense. Uh, just have faith that just like McClellan waited until the last day or two to present his bombshell evidence, um, I guarantee you, Brad and Andy are going to wait till the last days to present their bombshell evidence. So
Yeah.
just hold on tight. They haven't even began yet.
Right.
Yeah. Mhm.
And here's the reason for that, because if you do bombshell evidence in the very beginning of your defense case, and then you go on to all this other evidence, it's going to, like, it's not going to be fresh in the jury's mind.
Mhm.
You want, if you are trying to get that, not guilty verdict, you're going to save those things for the last day or day or two, where it's like, boom, okay, that's the last thing they heard. Then they're going to hear the prosecution say why, their closing arguments. But yeah, you don't want little tiny information to be coming out in the last days.
Mm-mm.
It's got to be big.
That's what we're getting now. Is we're just getting the little drips and the ball is slowly. It's a slow start. It's getting rolling.
Yeah, Jamie says Andrea said he sounded, talking about Brad Weber, he sounded like Sling Blade. Um, yeah, they were saying that in my chat the other morning. Um, by the way, just, I know I love that movie. I love the movie Sling Blade. I know I'm disturbed, but it's great. It's a great movie. It's very. Have you seen it, Prof?
No. No.
It's it is a very, like, it's iconic. You have to see Sling Blade, and it is just, there's so much drama and so much human personal, like, it's a great movie. It's a great movie that makes you question things on so many levels. I love it. Okay, it's a new day says they didn't want reliable leads. They turned everyone away that reported they were present that day until much later. I have heard that. How many times have people said I called in a tip, I did this? Well, even Cheyenne did. And she's like, "Hey, I said this, and it's weeks later and they're just getting around to it." Which is a big problem, because you want to talk to people when it's fresh, right? When it's fresh in their memory, as fresh to the crime as you can, right? Uh, so I don't know. Do you know the answer to this, Prof? Does Ashley Garth have family in law enforcement?
I don't know.
I don't know
But
either.
I saw the talk that's in there. It's very likely that talk that's going on there about her relatives and stuff. Yes, very likely.
Yeah. Um,
I mean, a lot of what people have never put together yet, except Rafi and maybe you, Silky. Some of us, like, you have to understand the amount of relations here, like among all those early searchers and witnesses. Like, basically, they're all related. Even McClellan is related to Brad German through his wife, direct relation. So there's a lot of relations here.
yeah. Well, you can't, I mean, it is what it is. If you have a town of less than 3,000, the chances that somebody is going to be related to, friends with, whatever, somewhere in that family tree, there's going to be a lot of branches crossing. I mean, it
Mhm.
it just is. doesn't mean they're bad people. It's just like, yeah, you don't know who's attached to who. And that was one of the things that I saw as a huge problem at the very get go. Because my town is way, way, way bigger than Delphi. But yet, people still ask who you're related to. They hear your last name or whatever, and they're like, "Are you kin to so and so?" Because it's like an association people need to make
Mhm.
for whatever reason. Like that kind of thing has always that's always confused me. I don't care. Like I take a person on their own merit, um,
Me too.
but most people don't. So when you get a town like Delphi, it's absolutely a thing, and yeah, there's so many tentacles. Even uh, let's see. I loved it when Andrea said Weber appeared as if he was someone straight out of Deliverance. I'm not gonna say anything because I want to tell you something. I've seen some people in my area in what they call the Walmart. People say I went to the Walmart. Uh, I've seen them in the Walmart, and I'm like, oh my goodness, what rock did you crawl out from under? Just keep walking. Just keep your eyes steady. Keep going. Uh,
The Walmart.
the Walmart. Yeah, I went to the Walmart. Um, Prof is correct. Definitely full of intertwined tentacles on the old Facebook friends list. Yes, yes.
And something someone said in this past year is Richard Allen. Where are the tentacles?
Exactly.
We've always been it's always been tentacles, tentacles, all these tentacles. Where's the tentacles with Richard Allen? Come on.
Yeah. There's not. That's the problem. And that was the big problem that I had at the very get go of this case. Because Prof, I started doing videos saying why he was guilty, why he fit the
Oh.
profile,
Hmm.
and and I even in that video, I think that was like my second or third Delphi video, early November of 2022. And by the end of that video, where I say, yeah, does he fit the profile? I'm like, I'm thinking to myself, I don't know if I should publish this video because now it doesn't make sense to me. I went ahead and published it, but I did say in there he really doesn't fit the profile. And then after that video, my gut was just like, you know what? I cannot continue in good conscience to do videos. I'm going to start digging around because this doesn't feel right. It just doesn't. And boy, uh, the Target, the Walmart, the Kroger, yeah, yeah,
Well, shoot, even up to the time that the prosecution rested its case, I still had this percentage of possibility I was allowing that he was involved in some way. I never thought he was the killer.
right,
No, let me back it up. Just like you, I thought he was the killer at first, the first month or so, as I was figuring it all out.
yeah,
But once I figured out, once I read the PCA a couple times through, and I'm like, okay, no, he's involved. And I mean, what really convinced me was the charges as kidnapping in the first, you know, month. I said, okay, well, that's probably his level of involvement is the kidnapping part of it, and someone else took them from him and killed them. But as time went on, I got further from that, and then I was still assuming though that they must have some evidence that he's involved in this in
right.
order to be so sure, to and because they then changed the charges to straight up murder charges, and then they kept pressing with it, and then there were all these pundits out there saying, oh, he's going to plead guilty, he's going to plead guilty, and blah blah blah. And I kept looking at it thinking, well, surely they must have something, surely they must have something, we'll find out
Mm-hmm.
during the trial. And now the prosecution is rested, and they've absolutely produced nothing.
Yeah.
Uh, I got to tell you, I'm pretty much on the innocent route, but I mean, I don't know. There's a 1% chance maybe I'll leave open that he's somehow possibly involved, but 99% chance it's totally innocent because if they had anything whatsoever, anything,
Yeah.
there's just no forensic. There's nothing. No digital, no DNA, no forensics. There's just nothing, and you just got to wonder, like, how could they bring a case of nothing for a double
Exactly.
homicide? Yeah.
And I even up till trial time, I said if I lived in Indiana, could I be an unbiased, even though I've researched this case so much, could I be an unbiased juror? I think I could have. Because, like you, I was still leaving that door open. Okay, I'm not going to lock my brain into one thing. Let's.
Uh oh. Whoops. We
What
lost
happened?
her again. Oh, here she's back. Nope.
Am I back?
Oh, I hear you.
I have no idea. Like, my computer now is doing nothing. I have no idea what's going on. I haven't had this happen in forever. It's weird. Um, I must be getting some interference from somewhere. Um, but yeah, Prof, can you hear me now?
Oh yeah, it's rolling.
Okay. Okay. I think I'm right where you are on that 1% chance that he was involved in some way. I'll leave that door open. However, I'm going to take away that's in my mind. It could he I don't know. They haven't proven it. But the one thing that takes away that 1% for me and makes me say free Rick Allen, and at this point, it it's because that 1% is overshadowed by all of the injustice in the legal system. So
Mm.
for that reason alone, I would say, guilty or not, free Rick Allen, because what you have done to him is illegal, it's torture, and it is terrifying to think that other people could be in this same situation in Indiana with these gross injustices. On that merit alone, I'm going to say you need to exonerate him.
And you see, I think that that impression is not being missed on the jury. Like, just getting from the feedback we're getting out of that courtroom, it appears that the jury is seeing all of this too. And I don't
Mhm.
think you don't have to be a cop lover or hater in order to this for this stuff to start stinking. I think what's
Mhm.
happening is like the jury is seeing all this, and and as it adds up, it's probably piling up, and it's like, hold on now. And like we were talking about, then today they show, like, my assumption of what happened in the courtroom with the videos today is that you notice how it said during April. Well, when I was reading about what happened in April, it shows clearly, like basically, let me read some of it, some of what I got. He was suicidal, having delusions, uh, critical emergency, poor appetite, low self-esteem, grave disability, April 13th,
Mhm.
involuntary medication, uh, all in early April, disjointed thoughts. And by May 3rd, uh, he was confessing. And then by May 22nd, he's trembling, stuttering, buckling knees, bulging eyes. Uh, I'm thinking that that's what the defense did. They went in, they found 10 video segments of that progression from April to May,
Mhm.
where he's getting consecutively getting worse. And who knows what it showed. Like I told you on the phone call we had, that they could have showed him doing some of what was attested to, like banging his head on the wall nude, or rolling around in feces, or drinking out of the toilet. Like they could have shown like some of the absolute worst moments. And if they showed that progression, and then you add that to what they've already seen out of the law enforcement so far, I think the jury's probably up to here with it right now.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think so. And if I were on the jury, I would be as well. I wanted to bring this up. Nobody, nothing said. I don't know if he done it or not, but I don't think he did. I am probably a little biased because I'm local and I've had to deal with them and their corruption and lies and watched others. See, that's what I've heard from so many people, and this case is just exacerbating that problem. Um, you know, that's the thing. I honestly, I mean, I don't want to see anybody who committed a crime like this walk. But if I had to look at it just on the judicial process, even if I thought he was 100% guilty, which I don't, um, I would still say, you know what? Due process was not done. And this is a horrific outcome, but you have to protect the whole state. You have to protect the judicial process.
Hmm.
And, that's, to me, that is the horrors of this. One of those videos they said was 52 minutes long. Now that is a long video of uh, him acting, and I've got a list somewhere else that goes more in depth. Um, let's see, artist formerly known as SS. Go ahead, Prof.
No, I was going to say, what does that mean? SYNIC. I'm a natural.
I think cynic. I
Oh,
think
C.
it's
Okay, okay,
yeah,
cynic.
yeah.
I'm a
I'm a
natural
natural.
cynic. Worked in law for years, and in a very short amount of time, I uncharacteristically came to the conclusion that this is a frame up. Cases are not handled this way. Absolutely. Well, that's
Exactly.
that's why I'm agreeing with Silky, and I've been telling my people for a while. That's why I've been so vocal about it. It's like I don't know what Richard Allen did or did not do. I know the evidence of him being involved has not been convincingly presented by the prosecution. But one thing I do know is this appears to be absolutely corrupt railroading, framing. Uh, I don't think they even should have arrested him based upon a fraudulent arrest or PCA. Um, and no, Sarah Carbo did not say muddy and bloody. Like she can lie all she wants, and law enforcement can try to back her up on that all they want. But there's no record of her ever saying bloody until the third interview in 2019, when suddenly she says bloody. She replaces where she had always said muddy 11, 13, 15, 16 times, and she turns that into bloody in 2019. And so I'm not buying that she ever
Mm-mm.
said bloody. And
Exactly.
that means I'm not buying that Liggett was telling the truth when he said she said bloody. And
Yeah. Well, there's so many things,
so
and
many
that's
things.
yeah, in the PCA, that's just plain out crap, as we know now. From and yeah, for that reason alone, they should have said, "Hey, look, you didn't have a reason to." Okay, I lost Prof now. Um, they did, in my opinion, they didn't have a reason to uh arrest him to start with. Um, okay, it's a God thing. Is a God thing. I like that. Well, the constitutional rights have been stomped all over, so even if he was guilty, he will get off because of the lack of professionalism in his due process. And the second part of that, and was that intentional? Lack of professionalism in his due process. Are people this ignorant in our state? I don't think they are.
No,
I do.
either. You know what I think though? I think they're going to try to use this as the excuse for the corruption. So instead of taking accountability and cleaning house and saying this is going to happen because all of you guys need criminal charges for obstructing justice, instead of that, they're going to turn it and say we're all just incompetent. Uh, we're not professional. We're all ignorant. And sure, you maybe if you let a head roll or two, then everything will be fine. And I'm sure that's the way it's going to happen. They're going to probably, they're going to slap two on the wrist, force
Mm-hmm.
resignations or whatever, and they're going to get away with it. I
Yeah.
really do think so. Yeah.
And I think from the very get go, I don't think they thought it would come to trial, but even in the back of their mind, if they thought the worst comes to worst, it goes to trial, they knew what flimsy evidence they had. Okay, Nick McClelland, I'm not a fan, but is he stupid? No, I don't think he is. Um, and I think this is their excuse,
Hmm.
period, to end this case from the very get go. That's what I said. Either Rick Allen will be found innocent or guilty, and either way, the state wins because they want this case to go away, and it wasn't. I think they meant for it to go away and it just be one of those unsolved cold cases that you see on YouTube. 30 years from now, somebody drags up this case and says this was never solved. I don't think they ever meant to solve it, and so it really didn't matter to them. And I don't think it matters to them at this point. I mean, they all got paid. Um, Justice, in my opinion, is not done, and it won't be done unless people like you and I and the good creators, all of us, really, even the bad creators contribute something. They keep it in the spotlight. And I think they just want it to all go away. And until someone is legit arrested and prosecuted for this, it's not going to go away for me.
Not for me. No.
So I mean, they're just going to have to deal. They
Yeah.
could have picked a better patsy, though. They really could have. That was really not good. I think it just brought it more into national attention.
They
Had
could
they
have
picked
yeah, they could have patsied Brad Holder
exactly,
and it probably would have worked. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, and whether Brad Holder did it or not, or was involved in any way, could they have gotten a conviction on him? Yeah, I think they could have.
Mhm.
I think his Facebook posts and just all of the stuff that surrounding the affidavits, I think they definitely could have pinned this on him and maybe gotten a conviction. But uh, I don't know if that would have been justice either.
No,
Um,
I don't know. I don't think so. I mean, I'm thinking we're looking at 5, 6, 7, 11, a bunch of
yeah,
guys and
yeah,
girls.
me too. Me too. I think it was a group effort. But and maybe that's why people are saying that everybody in the search party is keeping their mouth shut, because even if they didn't want to, what if it's their daughter or their niece or their cousin or whatever who is involved? They're not going to say anything,
Exactly.
especially when you have the Vinlanders around, you know, the Kokomo crew and all the others who are the enforcers. You'd be scared to say anything. Which you and I have both heard on the down low over the years. People reaching out saying, I can't talk. We can't talk here. We're scared." Um,
I mean, I'm glad you mentioned that. I wanted to say something about that because I was thinking the other day how I wanted to say something I haven't yet, but about the culture of fear surrounding this case. I think that like it's not spoken about enough on our shows, because people will
True.
say it from time to time, but you're right. I've truly there is a culture of fear uh, built up around this case that is unlike anything I've ever seen. Um,
Yeah.
and it's the locals there have it, and the people on the internet have it, creators have it. Everyone, there's this cloud of threats, harassment, and just absolute terror around this case. And why would that be for two little girls?
Exactly. We need to do a whole show on that. I was thinking, Prof, I want to do a live on just the body count surrounding Delphi,
Hmm.
the Delphi case, and that would be a great show. The body count and the culture of fear. Um,
Yes. Talking about all the suspected individuals like John McCurdy and Stephanie Thompson and all of them.
hmm Right. I mean, it's theory, but there is a pretty large body count. And that plays on the minds of people. And obviously, if they have any inkling of what actually did happen to the girls and who's responsible, they're thinking, if I say anything, I'm next. So what you gonna
Yeah,
do?
I mean, there's so many people terrified of this
Mm-hmm.
case. And I know because some of them are my friends and they've gone away.
Yeah, me too. Me too. Um, or and there, it's funny. I was thinking about this right before we started. I've had people reach out to me. I didn't dislike them. I wouldn't call us BFFs, but I've had people reach out and say, "Hey, let's work on this case together." Blah blah blah. But for some reason, it just never panned out. Um, partially it was me. I'm like, I don't know that I want to do that, um, because I'm very picky about who I'll talk to, and then I've had some people that I've gotten behind the scenes emails and Discord messages and all that kind of stuff. Oh, you need to stay away from so and so because they blah blah blah. Look, I don't care. I don't care what they have done in the past, or what kind of person they are. Do they know information? And I am so glad that I didn't. There are certain people that I really got a lot of pressure about. And I'm sure you probably know some that I'm talking about.
Hmm.
And now looking in hindsight, I'm like, I don't believe half of what I was told about these people. And I certainly am glad that I didn't listen, because I value them very much. Very, very much. Um, that's why when people, they see us on, a YouTube platform, and they're like, we say, you get threats and you get uh, whatever, and it's a cesspool. It really is.
Hmm.
Because, I mean, I don't share what people tell me behind the scenes. I just don't. Just let it go. And say, yeah, if you're stupid enough to show up in my driveway, well, God rest your soul. That's all I got to say.
Yeah.
Uh,
Get
you know, yeah. Yeah. You and what army? So, okay. Let's see. Uh, RA was the fall guy to help steer the eyes off the truth of the others involved. Players will play. Yes, they will play. They did play the game well. I just hope that the game doesn't end. And it's not. It's not.
It ain't going away. Yeah.
Uh-uh.
Too much attention has been drawn to this case. It ain't going away without justice.
Yeah, and the funny thing is even though they thought one way or another this is going to be done, I think so many people, Prof, are changing their minds on Rick Allen and seeing the corruption that, yeah, there's going to be, and there already is, an outcry of people saying, hey, this is not okay. It's corrupt. It looks like a railroad situation to me. If law enforcement is doing this in Delphi, what else is going on? Um, this is not the outcome that Nick wanted.
No. And someone said something in my chat last night. They said about the lack of transparency, that they shot themselves in the foot with that, because when you try to keep people from seeing things, uh, it upsets them and they dig into everything that much more. So at this point, every single word is being put under a microscope, and it's because you tried to shroud this case in secrecy. So
Yeah.
sorry, you
Uh,
messed up.
Hiawatha Alley from Unsolved Crimes Uncovered did a whole expose. Did she? And I may have seen it a long time ago. I love. By the way, I love Allie. I love, love, love her. She is so thorough. I think now though would be a good time to bring it up again. Let's rehash that and let the whole world who hasn't been on RA's side, let's let the whole world see the corruption in Indiana. How about that? Uh let's see. Um Let me go back to, because there's some more. If I can find this, Prof, there is something else. There's more detail in the court this morning. Let's see. Okay, journalists who caught a glimpse of Richard Allen's prison videos today are reporting horrific prisoner of war conditions. He was, I don't know, trapped to a wheelchair. I think
Strap. Yeah.
strapped to a wheelchair. He had a black hood over his head, had two corrections officers dragging him. Is this Guantanamo?
Ooh, waterboarding. Whoa.
Yeah.
Well, that would be the reason for some of the reactions you saw. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Um, Now, strapped to a chair could be. I definitely understand. Well, that is a thing that they do in jails. Okay, it is the chair, and but that's when you're trying to. The only reason you get the chair, the only reason, really, is if you are trying to self harm or you are literally trying. There's nothing like you're out of your mind trying to harm everyone. They may put you in there for a short period. You can't be in the chair for very long. You're not supposed to be. And in our facility, the nurse has to check on them every hour. You have to check on them prior, or when they first get strapped in the chair, and they have a helmet on. And you have to make sure that the straps around the arms and the legs, the cuffs, everything are not too tight. It's uncomfortable for sure, but it can't be cutting off any circulation. You have to be able to put a finger in between the body of the inmate and whatever is restraining them, and you have to check on them every hour, and they are under constant camera surveillance during that time to see. They shouldn't be able to get out and hurt themselves, but you have to make sure that they are still physically okay. um, and that chair has caused many a death because people not watching sufficiently. I'm just gonna leave it at that. Um,
Oh, yeah.
but I've read many cases of that.
Well, you know the Tyler
Actually,
Evans where they strapped him down for 24 hours and he died in that chair.
yeah. There's been a lot of them. There's one. It's been fairly recent. I saw that. Um, yeah. Of course, Andrea Burkhart is. You know, this is what she's saying. If what we said it earlier, if it was all over by 3:30, according to the narrative, uh, then the individual caught on a camera on the trail cam should have seen them. If they're a suspect, of course they are. Of course they are. I'm trying to find that whole. There is a very, very long. Uh, there's one post, Prof, that goes into a lot of details. I'm trying to find it. Um, I reposted it. But anyway, it there were so many that say that even Nick was upset. I can't remember how they put it. I'm just gonna go back to where I can see something. Um, that Nick was visibly upset looking at the videos. I can't remember how they put it, but that really kind of shocked me because did Nick not know? Had he never seen the videos to see how bad it was, or was that an act? Like it's one or the other.
Or
Unless
was
he's
it not relayed? How was it relayed? Like maybe instead of it being that he's upset by the what's being seen on the screen, maybe he was more exasperated and upset that it was being shown to the jury because he's like, oh,
yeah.
this is drama. This is ruining my case. That maybe that was the feeling. It's not sympathy. I don't know though.
I don't know either. That's what I'm saying. I can't. I thought I had reposted that. The way they said it, is that the way I understood that they said it was that he was upset. But of course, it is Nick, so he could have been realizing, okay, my case just went down the tubes.
Throwing a
Like,
fit because the jury seeing the truth. Yeah.
hmm yeah, oh my God, the horror of it all. Okay, we spent $4 million for this. They're not going to forget that. And I will say this because yesterday it kind of bothered me. I saw all these mainstream reporters saying, "Well, we expected a big comeback from the defense on the first day, and it was really not that much. It was meh." Well, it's because they weren't allowed to show the videos, but they came out strong today. The defense came
Well,
out really
I'm glad
strong.
you said that because I wanted to speculate that this is what was supposed to be shown yesterday. These videos.
Right.
What I assume is that intern Max went and found all the date stamps to be able to appease Judge Gull so that she would allow it. So yeah, I'm sure yesterday this was what happened today was supposed to happen yesterday. I'm sure.
Yeah. And so it makes me kind of excited for Monday. Like, what are they going to do? Because, like you said, the biggest bombshells are going to come at the
They're
end.
gonna keep on coming. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think even these horrific videos, these are going to be stuck in the jury's mind. Okay, it's kind of like when you see a disturbing movie. If you watch a horror movie on Netflix or something, and you didn't anticipate it to be that bad, like that's kind of stuck in your head, you know. And so I don't think the jury is going to forget anytime soon um, what they witnessed. And if that is the that is the beginning of the bombshells, whew, it's going to be it's a circus. It is a circus. It's just that the acts, the three rings that Nick had, really weren't that interesting. You know, maybe that was supposed to be the beginning of the circus.
It
Okay,
was a
just hold
letdown.
on.
It was a letdown.
Yeah,
It
very
was.
definitely. Um, Hiawatha saying, please, the two of you do a collab on the cult of fear and death in Carroll County. Yeah, we really need to.
Silky could put together a good presentation for that, for sure. That
Um, yeah, I mean, I look, I I do, and I'm gonna go back and look at Allie's video for sure. I have never seen a creator who is more thorough, bar none, than Allie is. Man, she goes into depth. So I need to watch that again. But it's definitely something we need to bring up and talk about. Um, let's see. Yes, I did, and I reposted this somewhere. Doug Rice concluded a local in a white van abducted the girls because he was obsessed with Abby. So see, the white van, it's been around since Doug Rice, y'all. Come on. Um, Another good question. I'm still wondering which ISP person's DNA was found in that lab. You kind of think, oh, well, it was an accident, but what if it wasn't? There's always that possibility. Um,
shit. I still wonder whether the girls were found one in the creek, one half in, half out the creek, and moved. There's so much. I mean,
well, yes, and here's the reason that I say that. When I was listening to, I don't know who this week, the medical examiner saying taking the bodies out of the black bags and they had wrapped them with a sheet. They were saying Abby's blood, I probably shouldn't say that, but I'm going to say it, was wet, still wet to the point that it smeared. Okay. Also brought up, which actually surprised me a lot, is they said the wetness on the bodies of the girls was not condensation. And I'm thinking, okay, that's then how were they wet? How were they there that long? If it's not condensation, then why were they wet?
why were they wet? And what in the crime scene photos, the Abby's hair certainly looks wet to me.
Because
Wet but
Abby's
drying. You know that look.
Yeah, I didn't notice that so much in Abby's, but I definitely did in Libby's. Libby's looks wet, wet.
Oh yeah, see, it's something.
Yeah, and you can't disregard the initial reports that from John Weaver, that
Hmm.
the elusive John Weaver, that said they were found in the creek, and Steve Mullen, who said they were found. Was it Steve Mullen? No,
No,
it
that
wasn't
was
Steve Mullen. It was
Riley.
Kim Riley. Kim Riley. Yeah, Kim Riley said they were found. He got the creek wrong, but he
It's
said the
Sugar
girls were
Creek.
found in the water.
He said
Yeah,
Sugar Creek, but then he said in Deer Creek.
right. And like somebody in my chat said, um, he was corrected on by the other officers in that interview. He was corrected on the name of the creek, but not on the fact that they were in
In
the
it.
creek.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, it's the same like David Erskine says they're found between more so 9:45 and 10:30, and then Becky told little Frankie her call was around 11 something, but then we're all told they didn't find him till 12:15 or later.
right.
It's like, well, what? Come on.
Exactly.
And how many things have to be like so obvious before you just like accept the most simple possibility, you know?
Yeah. I mean, exactly. And could that many people be wrong? I mean,
Why would David Erskine be wrong about where he first saw and found those bodies and when? I mean, it seems like something you wouldn't be that wrong about, you know?
exactly. But, so what? He just went with the narrative, okay, they were found in the bowl area, and that's why they weren't seen because it kind of dips down there. And and this just, I'm not going to name names, okay? But this was brought up in my chat earlier this week. People were on the river with flashlights searching the banks the night
Hmm.
before. So if the girls were in the water at that time, or even close, even just half in, half out, or just up on the bank, they would have been seen. The clothes in the water would have been seen that night from the creek. Even if you were up higher in the woods searching, you might not have been looking at the creek, but there were searchers on the creek. So, what's with that? Too many inconsistencies. Um, and that's why I think the girls weren't there at the time that they said. Um, let's see. I've not heard this. It's a new day. Candy Pastor Harrison is an author who originated from Delphi and wrote a whole series of books referring to southern Delphi area as the Hill. This was a thing there, a sort of lover's lane. It doesn't, that would. I'm sorry. I'm looking at that area and it kind of creeps me out. I'm like, I wouldn't be feeling all romantic in that area, but whatever. Have you heard that before, Prof?
No, but that's fascinating.
It really is. Maybe that's why so many people went. I mean, okay, if you're a teenager and you're sneaking away to do whatever you're going to do, that is a good remote area to do it, for sure. Um,
I mean, I wouldn't want to do that kind of business in the woods, but
I mean,
but I mean the cemetery, maybe go park the car in the cemetery or something like that.
yeah, I mean,
As odd as that is,
well, I mean, a cemetery is. I mean, if you're not creeped out by graves, it's
yeah,
very
it's
it's
private.
very serene.
Right.
Uh, yeah. I mean, I'm not creeped out by cemeteries in the least bit. It's very peaceful. It's like, it is. It's very. All of them are pretty much. But I can see where people uh would go there, maybe down under the bridge. Because I mean, I never snuck away and did anything like that as a teenager, but if I was going to, it seems like under the Monon High Bridge, although it's kind of nasty, like it's remote, who would be looking for you? Um, I don't know. That is interesting, though. I've never heard that. Thanks for bringing that up. Let's see. Yeah, it's a new day says I watched the white van go up the private drive on the chopper video. Yeah, that's what Prof. I think that's what you were saying to me on the phone.
12-minute mark. Yeah.
Yeah. Um. Exactly. And there's this been brought up before, but let's talk about it again because it gets out of there's so many details, sometimes it gets out of my head. David Erskine was also on video saying that the searchers, were looking for evidence and called the girls victims before the girls were found. Was it David Erskine? I know I mean it may have just been a slip of the tongue, but er, um Eric Williams said that as well and stopped himself.
Hmm. Eric Williams. Uh,
Yeah. Oh, yeah, there it is in chat. That was Eric Williams. Okay.
right.
Yeah.
Exactly, Samantha. No, the story about the deer is the most BS story you've ever heard. I mean,
Yes.
I never believed that story was so stupid. There's so many stories. I'm sick of them all.
Yeah. Uh, and then there was what was that? I think it was in the Google searches, a movie, looking for a movie that they say RA looked up was The Killing of a Sacred Deer. But that has been brought up before as regards to this case, not with Richard Allen, but um, there's something about that with the whole cult issue. So,
Well, I posted it sometime a year ago or so about in the mythology of ancient Delphi, how there's this one thing. I'll have to go on my community page to find it, but where in lieu of a deer, you do a human, or in lieu of the human, you do the deer. Maybe I should read it. Let me see if I can how quickly I
yeah,
can produce that because that
I
that
missed that.
bothered me since let me see.
Yeah, the idea of search, Monday says, the idea of search, say it was search like a perimeter around the girls. Yeah, because they didn't even let people cross over on the bridge, and Capitano pushed people back, saying, "Oh, we've already searched this area." See, I wonder if these
I
kind of
have.
things are going to come up.
Would you like me to text this to you? Would that
No, read it. Read it. I mean, you can text it too, but
let me
yeah,
text
read
it
it
to
to
you? Let's
us.
see. Maybe you can put it on the screen if you're able to. If you're not, I'll just read it.
Just read it because, yeah, just
See,
read it.
this says so sacrificial festivals are the traditional means to overcome all sort of social crises. Extraordinary situations of emergency, famine, disease may again and again lead to human sacrifice. More firmly established are the customs which deal with the current crises of society. The succession of the young to the old, no initiation without sacrifice. See, that's a key phrase right there. No
Yes.
initiation without sacrifice. The
Yes, it
continuous
is.
renewal of the year, too, is given dramatic accents by sacrifices, which celebrate the destruction of the old for the sake of the new. The myths, too, are concerned with sacrificial ritual. They clearly tell of the mutual substitution of man and animal. The animal dies instead of the man. And then there's a note, number 58. And down in the note, it says, Athamas kills Lurchos, quote, as a deer. The equivalence of man and animal may also lead to successive interchange, as in the cult of the legend of Artemis of Munichia. To atone for the killing of a bear belonging to the goddess, a girl is supposed to be sacrificed, but a she goat is substituted, man for animal and animal for man. Greek mythology also knows
Mm.
the horrible converse, the sacrificial slaughter of a man instead of an animal. At the uh, Delphi, at the what is it called? The Oracle of Delphi, Epitalamus was cut up with sacrificial knives. Such scenes are not mere fantasy. Phineas of Eresus gives an account of the preparations for the battle of Salamis, which seems intrinsically probable in full view of the enemy. The uh, virgins are slaughtered, blood is flowing, the altars are burning with fire. So I sent that to you, but it's basically explaining how in Greek mythology and Delphi that they were interchangeable. The the animal for the
Wow.
human or the human for the animal.
So is that why in some crime scene photos Abby has antlers?
The little antlers, maybe. I don't know. I was always bothered by something I can't find anymore, and it's real upsetting to me because man, it bothers me when I lose something I can't find.
Yeah, me
But
too.
I had once when this whole Frank's first came out, and I read about Elvis Fields referring to her as a troublemaker.
Mm-hmm.
I started Googling around terms like wild woman and stuff like that because I was looking for the mythological.
You better hope your Google search doesn't
I know if my
doesn't show up in
you
court.
don't want to see them, but I was Googling it to try to find like the concepts of in in um in pagan mythology or traditions, the concept of a wild woman or a troublemaker woman type. And one of the first things that came up was an image of a woman, a young woman in the woods with deer antlers. And they were little deer antlers. And I thought I had saved that or that it would be easy to find it again. But ever since then, I've never been able to find it again. But it was a really nice article with illustrations and everything. And when I look at that picture of Abby and I think of Elvis's words,
Mm-hmm.
that's exactly what I think of is oh he was referring to that. He might have meant wild woman if that's what they
Yeah.
were calling her. But in his mind, he translated that to a little troublemaker, you know.
Yeah, that's quite possible. And I didn't realize that you could substitute animals, humans, humans, animals. That's very interesting. I'm glad you sent me that. Um, because it does, I go back and forth. Like, it wasn't an Odinist crime. They could have been involved too. It was an Odinist crime. I think it was a lot of stuff. I think it was a joint effort. Um, but when I lean towards the Odinism and I see stuff like that, it's like, because then you have Tina Rodell, back to that one, about her daughter and being, initiated, right? Was it an initiation? Was that part of it?
Sure does
Um,
seem like it. I mean,
uh,
maybe it's two crimes. You know, that's another thing it's always bothered me how both victims are treated so differently. Maybe it's
yes.
two crimes, which is why it appears to be two different total treatments of victims.
Yeah, you're right. And, we've talked about it being a hit. Maybe the hit was on Libby and the sacrifice was Abby,
I or vice
or
versa.
vice
Who
versa. Yeah, or
knows?
vice versa.
It's weird.
Um,
It's just the
yeah.
weirdest thing ever.
Mater Maltus. Hello, Mater. I love that. I crack up sometimes at people's handles on social media. I've heard snippets that the girls were dating Odinists and that they were there to see a ritual. Well, could they have been lured down there because they thought they were going to see it? Uh, it's a possibility. Um,
Oh,
okay, and it's a new day says two death crimes, one staging. It certainly could be. I really hadn't thought about that before tonight. Could it have been two different crimes? Hmm. That would be why it's so convoluted.
two
There's
different
so many.
crimes, one staging. Yep, sounds like
Mm-hmm.
it.
It
That for
definitely.
me, that would be that's sort of the most that you put Occam's razor into play. That's the most simple conclusion. You know, two crimes, one staging. Yep.
Hmm. that does make a lot of sense. Um, and people still are talking about the some of the pig roast. You know that was definitely a thing. You might consider it. Um, let's see, Captain America. Some portrayals of the magician in tarot have horns. Really, I haven't seen that. Huh? I'm not a big tarot card person, so but I wouldn't know. I am familiar with the tarots that mirror uh, the crime scene, but yeah. See, that's the thing, and that's why Judge Gull is so adamant that Odinism not be brought into it, because that's if the case doesn't end like on if it's not a slam dunk already by the defense, it definitely would be. Even if it's not true, you bring the Odinism in it, and there is so much reasonable doubt. There's nobody that's going to find him guilty.
Well, sorry, lady, it's already going to happen, but
You think it will? I hope it does.
yeah, they're going to drop the most mega bombs. I mean, it just.
You know, they
I can't
keep
wait for the next
motioning.
2 weeks, but then I can't wait for it to be over either.
Yes, me too, because I'm tired. And I
Yeah.
can't imagine these. I am so grateful for people who are, you know, out there in that line and are covering this and then going live every night and telling us what happened in detail. It's, I can't say enough good about the people who are letting us know what happened. But, yeah, I'm ready for it to be done.
Mhm.
I thought, Prof, and, she struck down the motion again to bring it in, but I thought it definitely opened up the possibility or to bring the Odinism in when, who was it? Oh my gosh, the names. The guy that said early on, he said, they asked him were the sticks like basically were they haphazard, like just covering up, or did they seem to be arranged? I thought, okay, there is an open door because then that's the question. Did they look arranged? How were they arranged? Did have any symbolic meaning to you? Have you ever seen it? I thought that would definitely have been the strategy. They could open up and say that, but she says no.
She denies.
Mm-hmm.
For Nick McClelland, she sustains. But there I truly believe that this they knew. I don't know. I'm assuming they knew that it was she was going to deny it, but it's not looking good on appeal if it goes to appeal because how much evidence do they have to present to show her bad faith that she's just blanket denying, regardless of how much evidence is presented?
Exactly.
Because for me, there is a nexus. The whole concept that there's no nexus, I just don't get it. It's like, well, you have people that are putting themselves at the crime scene and
Mm-hmm.
have knowledge.